All right, the Hawks pulled this thing out. Man, I couldn't get Garrick to join me. I don't know what the heck happened to him. I might have to send out a messenger pigeon or smoke screen or something. But hey, I got Patrick on with me. Patrick, what's happening, man?
Not much, man. I'm still high as a kite from the conclusion of college basketball last night, and then I got home just in time to get the Hawks straightened out. They were down 11 when I walked in the door, so I fixed them. So it's a good night.
Man, so the power went out in my house. So let me tell you a little thing that happened to me. Every week I seem to like tell some random story to Garrick, but let me tell you since you're the one listening. I've been having this like really bad mosquito problem outside of my door. And I'm just finding out you're not supposed to put regular light bulbs on like kind of, the porch
Right.
light. Yeah. So I just put in a new light bulb. The second I turn it on, I think something happened. It's like a fuse is blown or something, but the power just goes out where my TV is and where my internet is, but it's working everywhere else in my house. And I'm like, man, I feel that the Hawks losing was directly correlated with that because the Hawks were down 12. And then when I figured out my power went on, they were down 4. You're welcome. You're welcome, Hawks. You're welcome, Atlanta. Yeah. I'm glad they pulled out the win, man. That wasn't looking good for a bit.
Yeah, I mean, losing to Phoenix would be pretty depressing. So
Did you tune in to see that John Jenkins airball near the end there?
no, I missed it. I was
That was
I was fixing my mic.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, Hawks just pulled it out. Since we're talking about the game, anything you want to bring up for it? Dennis looked kind of rough for most of it, except for the
Yeah,
end.
but he man, nice. I mean, when they put the game away, he was on a tear. Um, Granted, it helps when the other team can't dribble. So,
Yeah.
I mean, he got 2 steals that were pretty much the other team just handing him the ball.
Somebody, okay, I forgot who it was, but somebody like dribbled it off the player of I think our
Archie Goodwin.
Archie Goodwin. Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
that was magical.
Archie Goodwin's a really good basketball player as long as he never has a basketball in his hands,
Oh, he's one of those.
which is kind of inconvenient. But, I think earlier in the year he had didn't he hang like a 30 spot on us and like hit the game winning shot?
Was that
Which I think
Archie Good one? I think
yeah.
that was Archie Good one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then he scored like 20 points over the next 20 games.
yeah, yeah. I like to thank the Hawks for all of this. Nah, man, but Coach Bud probably laid into them at halftime. Said, "What the heck are you guys doing?"
Well, I know, Phoenix had a 38-point first quarter, and then they scored 41 points over the next like 30 minutes.
Mhm.
So, it also helped that Phoenix just quit making everything.
Yeah, this team is. I think it helps with Phoenix, but it's also kind of like Hawks. Come on, man.
Yeah, I was frustrated. I mean, I got home and I was like, "What do you mean we're down 11 to the Suns?" And literally, I think Phoenix scored like 6 points the rest of the time I was watching.
Yeah. You texted me earlier when I texted to you if you want to come on. You texted me you were at a soccer game, man. How
Yeah,
was
man. My son's soccer season opened up with a big 1-0 victory,
hey
which he's the wing back, so he pitched his shutout tonight, so that was good.
which side, left or right?
Right, he plays right back.
Okay. That's good. That's the man's position right there.
Yeah, well, he's played all over, so I think he's kind of settled into it, but he likes it a lot. So
Yeah.
he watched his first national championship basketball game last night, so he's ruined for the rest of his life now because it won't get any better than that.
Man, okay, so who was it that put that shut up for North Carolina? First of all, the feed I was watching was North Carolina's feed because TNT seemed to be like 5 seconds faster than
Yeah,
TBS. But I was just like, man, I am just rooting for Villanova now, just because. Who was the announcer that game? One ex Brandon Haywood. was announcing it, and I was just like, man, I cannot stand him right now.
Dude, the great thing too is the crying Jordan memes was just like so like right when you think a thing needs to die, something
Yeah.
like that happens, and it was so perfect with him being at the game.
They were putting it on his college photo, like the retired
Yeah,
Jordan on his college. It was just like, and now they're getting creative with it. Like they're getting some good photoshops with it by putting it on the mascot. It was people are getting creative.
I saw one though where they just had like a picture of the crowd, and he was literally every face. It was just great.
Oh yeah, I saw that one too.
I love that. So,
Yeah.
but it was great, man. I mean, it's kind of been a bad few rounds, just not much to be excited about. So what a great way to finish it off. And um, I was pretty excited about Josh Hart's tournament because I was the guy that you get when you follow when you cover the draft, you're going to be wrong so much, and it gets frustrating. But Josh Hart was just his numbers didn't blow everybody away last night, but that guy had a heck of a tournament, and I've had him in the first round all year, so um, I enjoyed that. And see Marcus Page bounce back, even though they lost, but he was just a freaking man in the fourth quarter.
Oh
And
yeah.
at the beginning of his junior year, he looked so good, and then he just has not gotten that magic back. And so I can't help it. I just love watching people play the way they're capable of, and he was awesome. So, but to get two iconic shots like that in 5 seconds, pretty incredible stuff. And and Villanova's probably going to be back. I mean, I think they got a great shot to be in the Final Four. They're already third, I think, in Vegas odds for next year's championship, and I saw ESPN had them number 2 in the super duper early rankings for next year. So they're going to be I think Josh Hart and Chris Jenkins will be talked about a lot next year come draft time.
Yeah. It was definitely a treat to watch because the how many lead changes were in that game? Because it felt
God, I don't.
yeah, it felt like a
In the
lot.
first half, there was a ton,
Yeah.
and then God, I mean, how much did Villanova? I don't know what the number is, but I mean, they must have outscored opponents by like 80 or 90 points in the second half of that tournament because they get in the second half and just kill people.
Yeah. Um it was it was just definitely something because I remember watching them and Villanova was down and then I had to run and then come back to where I'm at and I got here and I was like, oh man, this is a game. And then I freaking turned my head and Villanova's up big. And
Yeah.
then, Carolina's fighting to come back, but then you get that final shot and it's just like Carolina tied the game up. I thought that was unbelievable that they tied it up like that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And then I mean, I'm still having watched both games, both the Kansas Villanova game and the Villanova, UNC game last night. I still don't understand how Villanova won either game. Like you look at the numbers at the end of the game. I mean, North Carolina shot 60% from three, crushed them on the glass, and Villanova wins the game. Like I still don't understand how it happened. Uh, it's just incredible. So, but it was just shot making. I mean, we got all these people talk about how jump shots can't win games and doesn't win in the clutch, and I'm like, except for the fact you're wrong. Like basketball's changed, and the team that makes their shots are winning games these days. North Carolina out rebounded Villanova by 13 rebounds and lost. I mean, it's just not. Things have just changed so quickly with the way the game's played. So, I mean, that backup point guard for Nova went like 6 for 6 from the field and made like 2 shots falling down.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, that's just the way it goes. God, I just saw that Atlanta was 11 to 34 from 3 tonight. That's pretty rough.
That first half was pretty rough, but alas. Man. Well, I was going to ask you to talk about the game later, but we just got that out of the way.
Yeah, you know me. Can't help
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. It was a fun game to watch. Someone tried to tell me, like, they feel bad for Carolina and their fans. I want to feel bad, but it's just kind of like, don't they win
Yeah.
a championship like every 5 years?
Yeah, poor
It
things
feels
going to
like,
19 Final Fours. I know it's got to be rough.
yeah, yeah. I'm just like, whatever. I mean, if we have to hate Duke fans so much, then Carolina's to me has got to be up there too.
Sure. Well, I know that, yeah, that would have been their third title since Williams has been there. So, and that's another thing. I was glad for Jay Wright. And what about that? Like his reaction after they won. Is that not the smoothest reaction to a moment like that you've ever seen? He just
Yeah,
like raised his arms like, yeah, I knew that was going to happen.
he raised his arms like,
Like he just kind of like, just a little bit, just enough to be like, that's how we drew it up. So I knew it was going to happen. I just thought
that
that was
thing.
the smoothest thing ever.
The funny thing is not like you say like that's how you drew it up, and in a way, it actually was, because he kicked it back to the trailer for the
Yeah.
three. So it's just kind of like, in a way, that was kind of drawn up. But at the
Yeah.
same time, if it didn't work, you'd be like, well,
Yeah.
what else could you do?
Well, man, what was so awesome when I was watching later too is, and just it's just a cool thing about basketball is, now coaches are teaching people. People aren't running plays as much as how do you handle this situation and how do players react to it. So instead of it being like, okay, I'm supposed to run to this spot in the play, it's more like, oh, well, that spot's open. That's where I go. Well, last night with that last play, that's exactly what Villanova did. He taught his players that this is how you're going to handle this situation. So Diacono and Jenkins knew what to do, and they said they didn't even call that play in the huddle. They just knew that that's what they were supposed to do at the end of the game. And so Diacono goes down, and when they pick him up, he runs that brush screen, flips it to Jenkins, and then the coach doesn't call it, and that's just the way in which the games progress because even 10 years ago, there's no way a college coach is letting players make those kind of decisions.
Yeah, crazy. Anyway, let me see here what I got on my list for today. So, we talked about the Suns game. I'm looking at the box score, man. The box score just does not look pretty at all. Like, I guess, well, Millsap. I take that back. Millsap.
He almost had a triple double.
This can't be real. No. Millsap had 17 rebounds. Is that
Yeah,
real?
13 points, 17 rebounds, 8 assists is what I saw.
Yeah, 8 assists, 13 points, 17 rebounds. It seemed like he was flying in for every rebound, but he literally was. Okay. Man, this is
Yeah, and then he had 3 steals and 3 blocks. Good grief.
Paul Millsap is amazing, and yet no one knows of it. So, since I got you on here, and you were talking about it earlier, you mentioned you're writing up a article. I believe you mentioned that. Can you give us a
Yeah.
quick preview? Let the people know what to expect.
Well, yeah, one thing, I got a few things working on just because we're getting close to the draft, and one thing I'm working on is following up on the McDonald's All-American game, and the freshmen are going to see in college basketball next year, and there's not a reason to go into a lot of detail about that because we're still a year away, but we've seen seniors and upperclassmen kind of dominate college basketball this year, which is a little bit of an anomaly. This group of high school seniors right now that are going to be college freshmen next year, it's a great class, and I mean 6 to 10 guys that are going to make an impact right away. You don't know. Of course, a couple of them will be disappointments, but a couple of them there'll also be a couple of kids that will probably surprise. So it's going to be a really strong draft next year. I mean, I think I've said every time I've been on here and in my articles, I think this draft's pretty bad overall. I don't think it's terrible, but I don't think it's good. And then the other thing's just working on now that we've been through the most intense time of college basketball is who's the winners and losers of the tournament from a draft prospect perspective. And so I think Bryce Johnson, for example, from North Carolina, I think he's played himself into the lottery.
Yeah.
It'll be another week or two before I'll really know how some of the other people I trust are responding to it. But from my perspective, I think he's a lottery pick now. He's at least top 20. And he was kind of on the fringe of the first round, both by most folks and by myself. So that's kind of what I'm working on, just trying to make those assessments. And that's not just about the NCAA tournament, but also the conference tournaments, what we saw. So meanwhile, there you got a guy like Scal Labiziere, who from Kentucky, who, pretty much did nothing for the whole month of March. And this time last year, he was considered one of the top 2 players coming into college basketball. So I don't know where that's going to leave him, but I think he may even be out of the lottery by now. So it's going to be interesting to see what he does. So that's it. That's look at that. I think Sabonis had a great tournament, even though Gonzaga didn't make the Final Four, but I think he's probably a lottery pick now too. So we'll see. I know there was an article on Peach Streets today about people linking Thomas Bryant with the Hawks. I don't see any way he ends up with the Hawks. I'm not even sure he's going to go pro. But I think he did help his stock a lot in the tournament.
Yeah, I was kind of wondering that, but thank you for confirming for me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I just think anybody that links Atlanta to a player who's played 1 year of college, could Atlanta take one of those players? Sure. But anybody who links Atlanta with a player who's been there for 1 year isn't paying attention, because they've never even taken a sophomore with Ferry / Budenholzer, much less a freshman. And that's something I'm going to mention in a later article too. Is, I mean, in a weak draft where these freshmen aren't that great, it's going to be interesting to see how many of them. There may be a lot of freshmen that fall on draft night, because you look at the Warriors, the Spurs, the Hawks, the Celtics. Not a lot of one and done guys on those rosters, and it'll be interesting to see how much the league adapts to that.
Draft time is always an interesting time of year because I never know anything. And so I'm basically just looking at like Draft Express or what you write and just looking at like the measurables and just like, yeah, we need that,
Right. Well, that's the hard part. Like it's even frustrating for me because I watch a lot of basketball, but what if the only 2 times you watch a kid play an entire game is either their best nights or their worst night? That dramatically affects the way you see it. And for me, I'm someone that believes I don't feel good about an assessment of a player unless I've seen them play a whole game. And really, I want to see them play. If I had my preference, I'd want to see their worst game and their best game, because it kind of lets you see how they respond to having a bad game. I would give you an example of a guy that I'm watching right now that's interesting and could be a good fit for Atlanta is Sheldon McClellan. I don't know if you saw him at all. He played for Miami this year. He's a transfer from Texas, but he's a shot maker and had a pretty good tournament. I think he probably helped himself a little bit. But he's one of those guys, like, he misses 5 shots in a row, he just stops playing. Like, if he's not getting enough shots up, he just stops. So how do you assess that? Well, does that mean he can be a role player in the NBA if he's not getting shots? Well, maybe not. But at the same time, if he's a starting guard for someone, he might stay engaged in an entire game and be a really good, NBA player. So those are the kind of situations where it's really hard to judge, because I saw McClellan earlier in the season and I just wasn't impressed at all. And then I saw him twice here in March and went play whole games, and I was like, wow, that guy's a really, really good player. He's a great shooter. Shoots about 40% from 3, 84% from the free throw line, and a great athlete, but he's just not always engaged. So, but that's a guy I could see the Hawks. He's pretty good second rounder, and I could see Atlanta. He's a senior, so I could see Atlanta, taking him in the second round.
We have our thing for second round picks, man. That's
oh yeah. At this point, I'd almost just wish we'd like have 7 second round picks, just hoping that 2 of them would work out.
All right. So I think we got a guest coming on right now. What's up, man? Who's this we're with right now? You hear us?
Lost him.
Ah, what happened? Okay, all right. Try to. We'll try it again sometime later. Anyway, let's.
Hey, can you hear me?
Oh, we hear you now. What's up,
Yeah, I'm
man?
sorry. Yeah, man, my daughter, this is the time of night where she gets up out of bed like five, six times. I want milk, I want a snack, I gotta go to the bathroom, so that's what I'm dealing with. So I apologize.
Oh no, it's cool, man. We're live right now, man. So go ahead and introduce yourself to the people.
Yeah, well, I'm JM. I know you guys just basically from social media, but yeah, I've been following Peachtree Hoops for a long time. I've been a long time uh, NBA fan and Hawks fan. So that's kind of how you and I linked up, I guess.
Oh yeah.
And other than that, yeah, my name's JM, by the way. I've done some radio here in Knoxville um, on 1180 and some other stations as well, but I haven't done radio in a long time. But I much prefer to do stuff like this, to be honest with you, just laid back stuff.
Hey, well, thank you for coming on and talking with us today, man. Me and Patrick are just, talking about whatever. We're bored sports fans. We're just crazy random sports fans. I invited Patrick on, and we were talking about the game earlier. We're talking about the national championship, but let's go back and talk about the game. What do you think of the? I guess that ending to the Suns game had us a little nervous early on. What you think, man?
Man, I was tripping in the first half, and it always happens. It, the Hawks were up, I think, 18 to 12 or maybe 19 to 12, and I was just looking at the game on my on Score Mobile on my phone,
Yeah,
and I'm
yeah.
like, all right, they're up seven. I'm gonna flip the game on, and the next thing you know, they're down double digits. It always happens like that. I need to just not watch the games. Um, but yeah, I don't know why, but they always come out with these slow starts at home against inferior teams or teams
Yep.
that are banged up. Like you remember that Heat game where
Oh yeah,
Luol
that
Deng gave it to us.
in
Yeah, it's
Oh
just so
man,
January.
frustrating.
I'm
I
trying to
thought that
forget
was the
that.
worst game of the year. Yeah, that was. I think it was I think it was like January 31st. That's how vividly I remember how much that game
Oh,
sucked.
oh my God.
And there's been like there was a home loss to the Knicks, a home loss to the Jazz, which the Jazz are pretty good, but just a lot of lazy efforts early in games against bad teams where they get behind and once they start playing with um, energy, it's either well, a lot of times it's been too late. Luckily tonight they were able to get over the hump.
I just feel Coach Bud just goes at it at halftime. He just lets. Like I wish I could hear like just 10 minutes, 5, 10 minutes of what Coach Bud says to the team at half times whenever they
Yeah,
get slow starts. Uh,
yeah. They do make good adjustments, so you got to hand it to him.
yeah, yeah. Oh man, you're sounding needed, man. But let me just keep you on for a little bit,
Yeah,
real
give me
quick.
about a minute timeout. I'll be right back.
All right, cool. Appreciate it. Just jump back on. Anyway, Patrick.
Yeah, man. So I'm trying to figure out. Yeah. So when I walked in, it was 62. The Suns were up 62-51, and then when I got on, when you messaged me about doing this, it was 90. We were up 96-82. So I wish every game I watched, I got to watch that portion of it because that's. I was trying to figure out. So I think we outscored them 45-20 when I was watching. So. Um, so
Yeah.
it's my fault. I should have gotten home earlier.
Nah, man. I still blame myself. I blame my power, whatever I did, man. But
So what's this? Where does this leave us with the standings now?
The Hawks should still be. You know what? Great transition.
Okay, we're in third
Great
still,
transition. We'll talk about that right now.
and now
Normally, at
we put
least
another game on Charlotte. So
Charlotte,
now we're half a game of the Celtics and the Heat, and a game and a half ahead of the Hornets.
and how far are we ahead? We're one game ahead of Miami.
We're half a game ahead of Boston and Miami.
Oh, sorry, yeah, half game. But Miami, we own the tiebreaker so far for Boston, right? And I believe Miami owns the tiebreaker over us.
Yeah, I think that's right.
So basically, in theory, if the Hawks just went out, that'd be nice.
Oh yeah, sure.
Well, no, hold on. Miami's got to lose a game. But if the Hawks went out, that would be nice. But the big game, well, we'll get to it later. But we talk about the standings. The Hawks' next game is this Thursday. They play the Toronto Raptors. Whew.
That feels like a big game, doesn't it? I mean, you're most likely to do what you want to do, you're going to have to play Toronto in the playoffs, and we've struggled with them. And that, there's this level at which you just feel like you need that game. I mean, I know there's plenty of examples of teams that went 4-0 in the regular season against a team and then turned around and got swept by that same team in the postseason. But you do feel like it would certainly help to get a win over Toronto.
Yeah. Yeah. It would definitely help us. Help give the team confidence. Though I think they're playing well. No matter what, heading into the playoffs this year. But yeah,
well, I agree. But I mean, Boston's kind of gotten it back together a little bit, and then Toronto. I mean, so those teams are playing well too. So, I was looking, golly, and every time you look, you just feel like their schedules get easier and easier. The other teams.
Yeah. The only really what I'm hoping for is that the Bulls just pull some sort of magic.
Right.
Bulls play the Heat, guys, on Thursday. We need, if both teams went out, if the Hawks went out and the Heat went out, the Heat are going to jump the Hawks in the standings because we both have 32. We both have the same amount of losses.
Right.
And
there's only 4 games left.
4 for us. They have 5.
Yeah.
No. I think they have 5.
Yeah, they have 5 left, and we have 4. And so the Saturday's obviously a big game.
Oh yeah. Well, we're gonna get to that. Don't spoil it real quick.
Don't ruin it. Okay.
Let's just talk about the Raptors real quick. You think the Raptors are gonna try to come out and try to win this one? Do they have anything to play for right now?
I mean, I think they're kind of caught in this, where the Hawks were last year, and that I mean they have some chance of catching Cleveland, but not really. I think they'll play. I think it's their nature to play every night. I mean that's just kind of the way that their persona has been. It's one reason why they're so good.
Yeah.
Do we know about Damari? What's his status now? Because I kept hearing that they thought he'd play in April, but I hadn't seen anything. I'd seen an update.
Man, yeah, I don't know what to think. Damari, man, the Raptors though. We'll see this Thursday though.
Okay, I just read that he's practicing with the team now, so it looks like they might just be bringing him back slowly.
Man, but you have to wonder what is he gonna? Because was he cleared for contact practice? I didn't.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. I mean, I'd read earlier they were expecting to come back the first week of April, which is where we are, I guess. So, the thing about Damari is there's certain guys when they come back they can mess up your team, but it's hard, especially with us being Hawks fans and seeing him. It's not like he's someone that needs the ball a lot, so
yeah,
he's kind of a seamless player to put back in a rotation.
Yeah. Watch he plays against the Hawks as his game back.
Oh yeah, I mean I'm sure.
I totally expect that to happen.
I think it'd be interesting. I mean, the Pacers are not I wouldn't say a very good team, but just because of Paul George and they do have some playoff experience, and heck, I'm the one that's made fun of Vogel plenty, but the truth is Vogel's a pretty dang good coach. Um, that Pacers, if the Pacers end up with a 7 seed, I think that's an. I don't know if they'll beat Toronto, but I mean that they should at least take a couple of games from them, so that'll be kind of interesting.
The Raptors. Speaking of that, the Raptors play a back-to-back. I did not. No, hold on. Okay, when do we play the Raptors? Thursday?
That's Thursday.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. Raptors play the Pacers on Friday, it looks like. So
Right.
if Damari does come back, who knows if they. You know what? They might. Okay, since they're matched up with the Pacers right now in the playoffs, instead of giving Damari the emotional return for if they play him against Atlanta, I would think that they would play him. If you play him both games, but if you want to take it easy on him and not have him playing a back-to-back,
Sure.
Yeah,
I don't think there's any way they're going to play Damari in a back-to-back.
Yeah, I was saying they play the Pacers, and I think the Pacers would be the game that he will return, just because you play the Pacers in the playoffs.
Well, plus it's at home, so
that too. Yeah.
I mean, I think you're going to see him play. If he comes back, they play him Friday night against Indiana at home. I wouldn't even know if they might play him Sunday against the Knicks, and then they play the Sixers. That's a no-brainer to play him, just to let him run up.
Yeah.
He'll probably score 30 and a half if they want him to, and then they close at Brooklyn. So he'd probably only play in one of those last two games. But,
yeah.
So they got it. That sets up nice for Damari coming back for them, because they've already got everything wrapped up pretty much. I mean, Cleveland would have to drop all 5 games and then win 3 out of 5 to 4 out of 5 in order to catch them. So.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see where Cleveland is come next week, but we will talk about that on a later show. Jam, right now we are going over the schedule, the rest of the schedule this week. We pretty much kind of just wrapped up the Pacers games, our thoughts and expectations around the league. You have anything to say about the Pacers, who we play Thursday?
You mean the Raptors?
You know what? Okay.
We just talked about the Pacers, so that messed you up.
It is late. Yeah. My emotions are just through the roof watching the Hawks game, watching them come back and everything. You cannot judge me right now, Patrick.
No judgment. No judgment. I'm helping you out.
Good. There better not be judgment. I'm gonna boot you off this pod if there is judgment.
Yeah. Do we have a podcast?
Judge-free zone.
Do we have a D League for podcast? Is there a
podcast? We could send you. That's where Garrett.
Wait. We are the D League, right?
We are the D League. Yeah, we're the practice. We're got to get you back in rhythm.
We're headed to Europe in 2 weeks. They're going to even demote us from here. Maybe we get Pero to come join us.
Oh my goodness! That's where Garrick is right now. We had to boot him down to the D League so he could get.
He's learning another language.
Yeah. We felt there wasn't enough time for him. He didn't get enough minutes. So anyway, Jam, sorry for completely going off topic there.
You're good, man. I've had one of those days too.
Yeah, man.
Scatterbrain.
Not the Pacers, the Raptors. What you think about this game versus the Raptors coming up?
I wish it were not against the Raptors. How about that?
Hey!
Tired of playing those guys. Can't seem to beat them. But there's what is this, Tuesday? We play on Thursday, so we got a day off. It's an important game for the Hawks, so maybe we can just sort of reset things and forget about how many have they won in a row. I know it's like, is it 6 out of 7 against Atlanta or 5 out of 6?
I thought it was 7.
We haven't beat them this year, right? 0-3.
We haven't beat them this year, I don't think.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
So,
they went. I know
but
they went. They were like one of the only teams that beat. They're the only team that beat us 3 games last year, weren't they?
Yes.
yeah, it was 1-3 last year. The Hawks actually got a win in Toronto last year
Right.
during that long
I remember
streak.
that. It was a blowout.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
And we lost.
yeah, I
We
think
lost
this
to
is
them
a
twice,
chance
like the
to.
first week of the season.
Yeah,
yeah.
true. But this is a big game, so I mean, none of that matters. The Hawks just need to win this game, whether they're playing Milwaukee or the Sixers or the Raptors. They just need wins, and should be a big crowd Thursday night. Um, I kind of expect to win the game, to be honest with you.
Hey, fandom right there.
I think the Hawks rise to the challenge, and then they play down to inferior opponents.
That makes too much sense. That makes just too much sense.
Look at the game against the Cavs. They didn't come out with a win, but that was an intense game. The Hawks, uh, they brought it till the end. Really should have won, to be honest.
Well,
But
yeah,
they play up for big teams.
yeah. Here's the frustrating thing for me about the Raptors. It's like they play teams like the Cavs, teams that should, just wipe the floor with it. That should just beat us. And they play up for them. But then it's like when they play the Raptors, yes, the Raptors are, they're a good team. They're having the best season in their franchise. But it's like, are they that much better? Like, I mean, when
Well,
you think
yeah,
about
I
it,
think it's a matchup thing. I mean,
yeah.
I, I think Toronto really just
Valanciunas has big games against us.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Well, and Lowry, I mean, we just don't really have anybody that matches up well with Lowry and DeRozan, even though they're not for most teams typical matchup problems. But for us, another thing Toronto does to you is they kind of have this weird anti-efficiency, like they're not as efficient as most teams, but it kind of messes you up because they kind of get Memphis gets so much credit for being like, or not so much now, but over the years of being this kind of junkyard team. But I mean, Toronto's kind of that team now, aren't they? I mean, they kind of just keep coming at you and are pretty relentless. I mean, really, of course, everything goes back to college basketball for me, but I
Of
mean,
course it does.
Villanova kind of reminds me of Toronto a little bit.
They're the
I mean, it's kind of like they just every time you think you've put them away, all of a sudden there's this 8-0 run. you know,
My mind
um,
is blown. You just compared them to the
Or
champions.
in the Hawks case, every time they get close, Toronto goes on a 7-0 run to just
Yeah.
completely um, undo the Hawks
yeah, and
comeback.
it's usually and again like as I put this announcement together, it's like Villanova last night because all of a sudden Cal Lowry just starts making shots that make no sense. I mean that's what he does in the fourth quarter against us,
Yeah.
and it's like that Booth kid last night with Nova where you run a perfect possession and it doesn't matter because Kyle Lowry all of a sudden makes a 28-footer with you with your arms raised in the air, and
Yeah.
that's just kind of what they do. So it's hard. Like I just kind of admire the way Toronto plays. So I mean, really, it's kind of hard because it's hard to kind of cheer against Boston too. Just if they weren't Boston, if they were just a team with I didn't see what colors were on their jersey and everything, but
Well,
I just like the way they play.
well, you mentioned Boston, and guess what, guys? You know what's happening. You know where this is going.
Saturday.
Saturday, Hawks play the Celtics. Now, as Garrick was saying last week, good job, schedule makers, on all this. These last couple games are like actually important for many teams.
Yeah, well, in Boston, Atlanta, I mean, and definitely have the toughest road ahead. So, um,
Yeah.
If now, guys, do you think that Cleveland might be resting guys
oh, absolutely.
uh, when the Hawks get to that game? I've been looking ahead and wondering about that. So the Hawks might actually catch a break if Cleveland has clinched the Eastern Conference, which I guess they will
They
by then.
should. Yeah,
We
they
talked
should.
about that last week, and we thought I wanted to bring that up to Bob. If you haven't heard it, I'm definitely promoing. I'm advertising for that pod. But we talked about that last week. I said, 2 games left, and they still have a decent lead on the Raptors, then that's definitely a chance. But let me stick with the let's stick with the Celtics game right now, because we'll have some time to talk about that next week when I record Sunday. But since we're not going to have a recording up till Saturday, Celtics game is big. I don't even. Do we need to explain why that's a big game? I mean, you guys know.
It's like a playoff game.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of funny because to me, for all the talk about what seed we are, like, I don't care whether we're the 3 or the 4 for the most part because I don't even mind. I want to beat Cleveland at some point, so it doesn't matter whether it's in the second round or the third, But I would definitely like to play Charlotte in the first round as opposed to Boston or Miami. So
that would be ideal. Yeah.
Right. So if we're the 4 seed and Charlotte's the 5, if we're the 4 seed playing them as the 5, I'm cool with that. So it's like I don't care what seed we are. Can we just play Charlotte?
Okay, so if I had to take a guess, the Heat are going to win their next. They might win their next 4. They play the Bulls.
I think they win out.
Their last game's against the Celtics. That's the thing.
On the road.
They're playing the Celtics last game, and it's in Boston. Their second to last game is in Detroit. Who knows how that goes? Who knows where Detroit is? Like, if they're barely holding on to a playoff spot, and how intense they're.
It would be awesome. It'd be awesome if that game ended up being where they're like slotted in the 4 and 5 spot, and the winner of the game gets home court advantage. That'd be an intriguing subplot.
You talking about?
I don't believe Chicago's officially. What are they? 2 games back after tonight, or more than that? If they're not, I don't think they're officially eliminated, and they're still
2 out.
They're still somewhat trying. So.
And they've kind of recovered. They've recovered a little bit here recently.
Maybe a losable game for Miami.
Yeah. Thing is,
I mean, Chicago's finally putting almost like most of their players on the court again, so that does make them better.
Yeah.
I mean, that Jimmy Butler guy's pretty good.
Yeah, I've heard he's decent, but it seems to me, my secret dream would be for Chicago to win out, so they can play either Toronto or Cleveland in the first. For whatever reason, they just beat Toronto, and I don't know why. But my dream would be if they can make the 7th seed, but that's basically impossible right now. But I'll go ahead.
Well, yeah, I would kind of like to see Indiana play Toronto. That's what I really want. Indiana's got a star player with playoff experience, and Toronto still has that mental thing about getting out of the first round with this group. So, I think that would be a really interesting series. I could be wrong, but yeah, Paul George against Toronto. Be pretty good stuff.
Man, I think that's an absolutely brilliant thought. JM, to let you in, you just completely repeated what I said like 15 minutes ago, which is beautiful.
You did.
So,
sorry, that's probably when I was in there with my daughter.
No, it was great because I'm like, yes, that's brilliant. I think you should have this guy on all the time, Josh.
Yeah.
He's bringing major.
Look, Patrick, don't you be telling me how to run things. No.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
I have a friend that actually, he's not necessarily rooting for it, but he keeps texting me that he would prefer the Hawks to start out on the road. He thinks it would take pressure off, and he thinks that they would assuredly have a chance to close out the series in Game 6.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. That's something to think about. I don't know how I feel about it, to be honest. There is a lot of pressure when you start out at home. And
that's a
the
good
Hawks
series.
have not been invincible at home this year. We saw that
Right.
tonight. They came out with the win, but um, they can throw up some duds at home at times.
Well, Bob mentioned last week, he said he doesn't think really home court matters if teams are evenly matched. So that's what he
Hmm.
said for spots 3 through 6. He says the only thing is that it only really matters for, I guess, game 7 if it goes 7 games, and it's not even that much. But
Right.
Look at the series with the Hawks and Wizards last year. Very
yeah,
evenly matched. And, how many road wins were there in that
Oh,
series?
yeah.
3 or
Right.
4, maybe?
I will say this though, I don't think I'd want to be playing Boston at home, given their fan base's history and that they haven't really. I mean, look what Boston did in the playoffs last year, how well they played at home. So I would agree though. I think as far as Charlotte Miami goes, I mean Miami even with LeBron they never had great crowds, not the kind that just stayed engaged. I don't think the road's nearly the advantage that it's perceived to be.
yeah,
Um,
I can't emotionally handle another playoff series against the Celtics. I
Oh,
couldn't.
man.
Yeah, I couldn't do it. Man, the last series we played against the Celtics, that was the infamous fouled after the inbound pass. God, I hate the Celtics. Nah, they have a decently large fan base, so it's ugh. Patrick, you're absolutely right. You and JM are absolutely right, in my opinion, about if we play the Celtics. No, just avoid that. No, no, no. That and I wouldn't be
yeah,
able to. Oh, go ahead.
no, I agree. I mean, and the other thing is, I think Boston's a really interesting team, and I'd love for them to be playing anybody but us,
Yeah,
um, to be
yeah,
pushing. So I mean, ideally we would be the 3. Well, like I said, I wouldn't mind being the 4 and getting Cleveland earlier, but ideally you get the 3 seed, you play Charlotte, let Boston and Miami fight it out, and then let whoever wins that series, push Cleveland a little bit because I think either one of them can at least push them a little bit.
yeah,
And I thought I like Indiana at the 7 spot. That'd be great. And I agree. If Chicago could jump Detroit, I think that would be an interesting series with Chicago. And I think Cleveland would beat them, but Chicago could at least. They're getting healthier, and Jimmy Butler's a really dynamic player. And if there's one of the few players in the league that can kind of challenge LeBron a little bit, it's him. So. Um, and I like those kind of matchups. I'm one that when Paul George went mano a mano with LeBron, a few years ago, I thought it was awesome.
yeah. Also, Chicago hates Cleveland, or at least LeBron teams, for how many times they've gotten eliminated by them. I could throw that out there. But, oh boy. I know we're in for a race. I put a poll up earlier mentioning which team would people rather play. They mentioned. Hold on a second. I have to mute you for a second, JM.
No problem.
All right. They mentioned that Charlotte would be the team you'd want to play, like off of the poll. Also, we were talking last week with our guest. I have to go back to this like you do college football, Patrick. I mean basketball, Patrick. But he mentioned because the Heat have Dwayne Wade and their kind of history there, and because the Celtics, granted they don't have a quote unquote superstar, but they have the history, they have the fan base and the market. They might get the benefit of the call before a team like us or Charlotte. So
Sure.
that's why I think.
Well, I think the other thing, though, I think sometimes people make it about fan base and all that stuff. Also, athleticism tends to get the call, and that's not something that not that we don't have good athletes, but a player like Dwayne Wade, when he's on, it's just easier for a guy like that to get calls. So I think that's a legitimate thing. Whereas on that regard, Boston, although I mean Isaiah Thomas is the kind of guy that fall down and get a call when he needs it.
All right.
I mean, he's not like James Harden. He doesn't do that on purpose. I'm just saying he naturally is going to get calls, deservedly so, because of the way that he plays.
All right. I'm trying to. Why is this not letting me let you join back on here? You know what? Dang. I can't. Huh. Why won't it let me let you join? Okay, Jam, I'm trying to get you back on right now. I can't. It's not letting me. Do you have an option to mute or unmute on your phone? There
Yep,
we go.
it was on
There we go.
my end. Sorry about that.
It's all good. It's all good. All right. So that being said, we were going to. Man, we've been recording for a while, and I got to try to edit this real quick so I can put it up. We are going to. Man, guys, any last thoughts you want to say for the night? Patrick, go ahead. Last thoughts.
No, just it's as I've opened the show, it's been a good 2 nights. Hawks rally and watched the greatest college basketball game I've probably ever seen. So can't beat that.
All right, Jam, got anything?
Yeah, thanks for having me on. This was a lot of fun.
No problem.
Yeah, I apologize. I had to jump up and leave a couple of times, but um, as far as basketball and the Hawks go, it's always good to get a win, and I'll take it. And this is a big week coming up. I'm excited. The playoffs are here.
Yeah.
They're already going on right now. So yeah, let's get some dubs, some W's, and maybe get that 3 seed.
Heck yeah, man. Do you have a plug where people can reach you at?
Well, I'm on Twitter. Um, it's at Anxiety Reigns. I tweet all the time with with you.
Yeah.
I guess we've been on there for about a year now or so, mixing it up. But yeah, I tweet with Peachtree and Chris and some of those folks. Yeah, if you're following Hawk stuff on Twitter, you'll see me hovering around.
That's what's up. Anyway, guys. Hold on, let me do this real quick. Okay, anyway, guys, appreciate you guys listening this week. You know, I was going to talk about that ending to The Walking Dead, but hey, we'll get it next week, next time. But anyway, thank you, JM, for joining us. Thank you, Patrick. Thank you, Patrick, for jumping on with me and
Yeah, man.
staying strong with the Hawks. And guys, well, till next time, let's go Hawks. Peace.